Can foreigners buy property in Brazil? Some people think not, and some people think that the process is really complicated, neither of which is true. In fact, Brazil is one of the most straightforward places to buy a property, providing everything is structured correctly. However, there are a few important things that you need to know before signing contracts and sending money. My name is James Rocks. I'm from Rocks Investments, and I help international clients invest securely in Brazilian real estate, especially in markets such as Florianopolis and other coastal cities here in the state of Santa Catarina. So in this video, we're going to explore whether foreigners can buy property in Brazil, what documents you would need, also how the buying process actually works, and common mistakes to avoid in the process, and why international investors are looking to Brazil to put their money. So first of all, yes, you absolutely can buy a property as a foreigner in your personal name. And you'll be glad to know that there are a few restrictions in urban areas and coastal cities. So places like Florianopolis, Balneario, Camboriu, Itajaí, all have large numbers of foreign buyers, as do many other places all over Brazil. The ownership rights for foreigners in Brazil are very strong. Once the property is registered to you in your name at the notary office known in Brazil as a cartório or registro de imóveis, you are the legal owner to all intents and purposes. Now, there are some restrictions with certain rural areas or border areas in Brazil, but normal residencies, houses, properties for investments, these are all open to internationals. So why are so many internationals buying property in Brazil at this moment? Why is Brazil coming into focus? Well, one of the reasons is prices. Actually, Brazil is very competitive. It's very accessible to buy a property compared to, let's say, someone like the UK, Europe, United States. You can get premium properties much cheaper than you could in some of the countries that I have cited. So Brazil gives you very good value for money, even in areas that could be considered expensive by Brazilians. Another reason is the strong appreciation that the Brazilian real estate market gives. It is one of the best markets in the world when it comes to capital appreciation. Cities where we work, such as Florianopolis, Balneario, Camboriu, Itajaí, Porto Belo, these are places that have seen within the last decade a doubling or a tripling of property values. Somewhere such as Ingleses, where I live in the north of the island, properties are going up some 20% a year. Another reason is the ROI, the rental income that is coming. Brazil is very Airbnb friendly. Somewhere like Florianopolis is one of the most sought after destinations globally for Airbnb, number one in Brazil. And where a lot of places in the world are restricting Airbnb, actually a lot of condos are purposely built for Airbnb, and the ROIs are good. The return is good, so it spikes interest of local and international investors. Fourthly, people are buying property in Brazil for residency through spending R$1 million or more in property. In Brazil, you are eligible for the Golden Visa, a 4-year investor residency that can be upgraded into a permanent residency and eventually citizenship. So people are looking to Brazil as a retirement plan, a plan B if the world goes crazy and goes to plot. People love Brazil for lifestyle, and the Brazilian passport is actually a very strong passport as well. So it's very attractive to a lot of internationals as well to eventually acquire that nationality, and property purchase is a pathway to that. So what do you actually need as a foreigner to purchase a property in Florianopolis? Well, the good thing is it's not a lot. You don't need much to purchase a property here. The first thing you'll need is a CPF number. This is a Brazilian tax ID. And in one sense, this makes you visible to financial institutes in Brazil, or any legal processes or documents require this. But as a foreigner and a non-resident in Brazil as well, you can acquire a CPF Easiest way to do that if you're outside Brazil is to make an appointment with the local Brazilian consulate or embassy, and you'll be given a CPF number on the day. You can book an appointment through the site. If you're in Brazil, you can book an appointment at the Brazilian tax office, Receita Federal. And once you have this number, this not only opens up property purchase to you, but even if you're not a resident, you can get a non-resident's bank account in Brazil. You can access services, you can buy or you can contract internet, you can contract say a cell phone contract. There's many things you can do. Once you have a CPF, it opens everything up for you in Brazil. Secondly, you need your passport. That will be your primary identity document for the purchase process. Thirdly, depending on your marital status, you will either need to have a sworn translation into Portuguese of an apostilled marriage certificate. If you're single, that would need to be your birth certificate. So that would need to be apostilled and translated into Portuguese by a sworn translator. So that would be necessary for the contract and the registry of the deed. Number 4, the funds need to be transferred correctly into Brazil. If not, that can generate some issues further down the line for you, or even lead towards money being held up as well. Some of the implications, if money isn't brought correctly into Brazil, can be tax implications, especially capital gains, rather than just paying tax on the gain, from an investment that you've later sold on for a profit. You could be taxed on the whole sales amount because there's no history of where that money has come from, and you already having paid tax elsewhere on that. So do get that right, and that's something we're able to assist with as an agency. So let's go through the normal buying process step by step. How does that work? Well, step 1, choose a property. And this is where understanding your goals, your objective really matters. Is this purchase for lifestyle because you love being in Brazil, you love being near the beach, or you love being in a particular neighborhood? Is it an investment, in which case the numbers are going to be important? Is it more for Airbnb income, but you may want to stay there some of the year yourself, so it's a mix of lifestyle but also generating income for you? Are you wanting something that's going to give you good appreciation, that will resell well at a good profit in the future? Is it a retirement property? What's that property going to be like in 5-10 years time? Is it for a future relocation? Is it to get the visa as well, making sure that the property fulfills the criteria to get permanent residency in Brazil? So the right property depends on your objectives, and that's why I'd recommend working with a good real estate agent who's not just keen to get the deal done, but is actually looking to understand your situation, your unique needs, and find the right kind of opportunities for you. Step 2, due diligence. This is really critical. You need to clarify ownership of the property, debts, taxes, lawsuits, liens, building legality, documentation as well. In somewhere like Florianopolis, 60% of properties don't have the proper title deed. You need to understand the implications of that as well, and make sure you're not being missold or misled in this process. And definitely worth working with a trustworthy local team, realtors, lawyers, etc. One of the many things as well that surprise foreigners investing in property here in Brazil as well is there's not always a survey carried out as part of that process as there would be somewhere like the UK. That's not necessary. So depending on the type of property, who's built that, etc., you may even want to contract an engineer to carry out a survey on that as well. Each property purchase and acquisition is unique. So having an experienced team who understand the market, who are looking out for your best interest, I would say is really important, because at the end of the day, it's a big investment. or it's a big life decision at least. Step 3, signing the purchase agreement. So at this point, you are entering in to an agreement to purchase, and the seller is entering into the purchase to sell this to you. Usually there is a deposit, a cash deposit put down at this stage, usually 10% of the property value you will put down, committing to that deal. If you pull out, it's usually in contract, if it's not for a good reason, you will lose that, you will forfeit that deposit, that good faith payment. However, as well, if the seller pulls out as well, they have to return that to you, and often as well, they have to pay you another 10% as well for your trouble. Fourthly, transfer the funds into Brazil correctly. So for when you sign the deed, which will be the next step, you need to have the funds ready to go. So you want to do that in good timing, because what typically happens is the closing, the signing of the paperwork, and the transfer happen together. So those funds need to be in Brazil, ready to go. I'd recommend using a transfer bank service where those funds will be held for you in reais, ready to be paid out at your order or your lawyer's order or whoever you've given power of attorney to. And it's also possible, even as a non-resident, to open for you a non-resident's bank account where you have control over that money, and when it comes to signing, you can transfer that money to the seller. Okay. Fifth and final step is going to be the deed registration, the deed and the registration. This takes place in the cartório, the notary office. This can be done in person or remotely. So after the deed is signed and registered, the property officially becomes yours and you own it, even as a foreigner. So what are the biggest mistakes that foreigners make when buying a property? Actually, some of that can be pre-purchase as well, in terms of not knowing the local market, unrealistic expectation sometimes, thinking, okay, I've got $100,000, I want a beachfront property in a prime city like Florianopolis. You've missed the boat on that by about 10 years. There are great deals that can be had for that amount, but you've got to align expectation. Another one as well, pre-purchase, is to assume that you can just come to Brazil and access bank finance. It does not work like that. In Brazil, to access a mortgage for a property, you need to build a financial history. That's not impossible as an international, but a lot of work needs to happen for you to build that. Your best bet, if you are looking for finance to purchase a property in Brazil, is developer finance. Often that will mean buying pre-construction, during construction, having a payment plan up until delivery. In some cases, with some developers, you can go post-delivery with that payment plan. And generally, those payment plans are very accessible to foreigners. And we've secured many developer finance plans with foreigners. But the terms are going to be limited from developer to developer, or even the business model that the developer uses as well. And really, it's best to find out about that kind of thing in consultation with an experienced real estate agent who knows the market, knows how that works, and understands your goals and your needs. So a big mistake can be not knowing the local market, assuming things work one way here, where in reality they don't. Not everything works like it does back home. Brazil is a unique country. It has its own way of doing things. Number 2, sending money correctly. Gonna stress this again. This is really important. If you send incorrectly, or even at times, even if you send it through the proper channels, doing a SWIFT from your bank account, wherever that may be, into the developer's account, into the seller's account, you can be stung by high fees as well, for high exchange rates on that. Brazilian banks, they can sting you. And that's why I'd recommend working with a designated money transfer bank. For a real estate purchase, I wouldn't recommend as well working with a like a cloud exchange service like Revolut, Remitly, Wise. For those larger amounts, it's best to work with an exchange bank and to structure that operation, structure all the paperwork ahead of sending the money. That would be KYC, proof of origin of funds, and also the reason you're bringing that into Brazil. This will save you headache in terms of money being held up. It will save you money on fees as well. You'll get a much better rate, and also this will help you with any future implications for tax or structuring the purchase correctly so that you can get your residency. If that's your goal, is you would need an exchange contract from a designated exchange bank as well. Number 3, as we've already touched on, is doing proper due diligence, not accepting everything at face value. Unfortunately, people sometimes omit things, omit issues with the house or withhold information. So, everything you can do up front to find out about the status of that property, any possible issues that it can have, do that to save yourself heartbreak and a headache. Work with a good team. I cannot stress that enough. Number 4, another big mistake that internationals make is choosing the wrong property. Maybe they're just too keen to rush into something to get something, or the sales pitch was so convincing how this is a great deal and you just need to close this now. And this can happen a lot. And actually sometimes people in real estate, I say sometimes, a lot of the time, people in real estate in Brazil can be very pushy and very let's get the deal done orientated without really thinking through the implications for the client. For me, selling real estate is a huge responsibility. You're dealing with people's dreams, hard-earned money, saving, could be retirement plan. It's a big responsibility, and helping a client to get it right is absolutely crucial. So you need to make sure you get the right property, that you're buying for the right reason, you're doing your due diligence, but also you're clear about what you want, what you achieve, what is the purpose of this property. Is it a beachfront Airbnb investment, or is this a retirement home? Is it going to be a neighborhood that serves to that purpose? It's not going to be, maybe if you're thinking about old age, it's not going to be incredibly hilly or at the side of a mountain or something like that. It's going to have those amenities and everything you need nearby. It's going to have clinics, that kind of thing. It's going to have places where you can go, socialize, make new friends. Is it going to be suitable for your family? You got to think through all these implications. If it's for appreciation, what's the long-term play? What's happening in this area? What's going to happen here over the next 5-10 years that's going to bring the price up? Or are there going to be things that are happening that are going to cause the prices to stagnate as well? Or is crime on the rise in that particular neighborhood or location? You've got to think through all these things. You need to think carefully about location, rental demand, liquidity, what's your exit plan as well. Maintenance, is this actually going to be very hard for you to maintain if it's an investment but you're off somewhere there? Have you got a good local team who can do all that for you? Is it a property that for some reason is going to cause you a lot of maintenance? You brought a house with huge grounds, you're not living there full time. Who's going to maintain that for you? Is it better to have a condo that you can lock up and go away for a few months and then come back and no weeds, no gardening that needs doing, management, those things? What are your long-term objectives and goals? So really think that out, and actually with the realtor you're working with, really think through those implications as well, and what you want to achieve. Okay, so coming into land. So yes, foreigners can absolutely buy property in Brazil, and Brazil is a great place to buy property. Brazil offers an incredible lifestyle, incredible value as well, strong investment potential, whether that's for appreciation or rental income, whether that's a steady rent or whether that's more short-term Airbnb. It's a great place and an accessible place for beachfront living, or just being close to the beach, or being close to the mountains, being close to nature. And also it's a pathway to residency, a plan B. If the world goes to pot, you've got a country that has its own resources, that is a beautiful part of the world, that is geographically far removed from a lot of other places. So there's a lot going for Brazil. And if you would like help finding the right property for you, for your family, if you would like help understanding the market and to purchase property securely here in Brazil, then reach out. I'm going to put my WhatsApp here, my email address as well. You'll find it in the description. It will be on the screen now. And also, if this video has helped you in your decision-making process, then I'd encourage you to like, to subscribe, and to follow us for more content about investing in Brazil, relocation, and life in Brazil.